when we collect the portion we can jump furthermore, as you can see. So we're gonna create this ability. Okay, let's get into this. Go to assets, right click, create C# script, name that script to something like ability. I already have created, so double click that to open up in Visual Studio. Okay, double click that to open up in Visual Studio. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna erase this start and update function because we don't need this, and we're not gonna inherit from mono behavior. Okay, this script will not sit on any game object, so that's why we're gonna erase this mono behavior, and we're gonna inherit from a scriptable object. Basically, scriptable object means it will hold data, something like name of the ability. Okay, and the second thing, we're gonna create a jump ability, so we also need the jump height float parameter. Okay, so we're gonna inherit from scriptable object. Okay, scriptable object. So firstly we're gonna create objects out of this script. So firstly what we're gonna do, we're gonna create the name of the ability. Okay, so we're gonna define the name of the ability, so it will be string type, the name. Okay, and we're gonna call it something like name ability name or name something, as you can see and underlines, because we already have a property. Okay, name, we have created another script, I guess. So what we need to type over here new in front of public. So now it's I have defined it with the new one. And the second thing, we're gonna define the jump height because we're gonna create the jump ability. Okay, so also we're gonna define public float. Okay, public float something like jump height. Okay, jump height. By default you can set it to any value, like something like 5f 10f, it's up to you. I'm gonna not gonna set any default value like that. I'm gonna define in the inspector and close that off with semicolon. Okay, so we're gonna create out of this out of this script objects. Okay, we're gonna create objects out of this script. So what we're gonna do, we need to define over here in the top of the class, go to top of the and make it square brackets and create asset menu. You have to do, we're gonna create objects out of this script. So what we need to use this over here. Okay, make a square bracket and use this create asset menu. So we're gonna create in a unity editor. Okay, in assets folder. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna define a file name. Okay, we're gonna call it something like ability. Okay, ability and comma, we're gonna define also the menu name. Okay, firstly what we're gonna do, we're gonna create the ability. Okay, ability, then slash, we're gonna go over to we're gonna call it this one, call it jump ability, something like that we're gonna define. So firstly we're gonna create out of this we're gonna create objects out of this, so it will have the name of the ability. Okay, as you can see we have defined the string name of the ability, and the second thing, we have defined the jump height over here. You can see by default you can set it any value, something like that, but I'm gonna set it to inspector, so that's why I haven't assigned it anything something like that. Okay, so create use this. Okay, create asset menu. Firstly we're gonna go to ability, then ability slash jump ability. Okay, so control S on your keyboard to save this and head again to unity. Basically scriptable objects means it will hold data. So as we know, we define it two variables, firstly the name of the ability and the second thing the jump height. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna make object out of that script. So just wait for to compile and you will able to see that. Okay, so what we need to go to assets. Okay, once again go to project tab. Okay, project tab and go to assets, and we're gonna define, right click, create create ability. Then over here, as you can see, we have created this ability file name, and then we have also created this file menu name over here, as you can see, jump ability. So select that, and we're gonna call it this one jump, something like that, jump ability or jump short of it. As you can see in the inspector, we can define the name over here. As you can see, we have created two variables. Firstly the name of the ability. Over here you can specify the name of the ability. As we know, we're gonna create the jump ability, so we're gonna call this one to jump, something like that, and you can define the jump height over here. So if we go to player, Okay, if I open up the jump script over here, as you can see, jump height by default it's 10. Basically we are jumping 10 unit. So what are we gonna do, we're gonna increase the in jump ability by something like 15, so it will it will jump a little bit higher. Okay, when we collect something like that, okay, when we collect something collectible items, then we're gonna apply that ability. Okay, so what we're gonna do, as you can see, by default we are just jumping 10 unit. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna increase the jump height. Okay, so if we go to jump is object, okay, and we're gonna define the jump height. So we're gonna define little bit higher, so we're gonna make it 15, something like that, so it will jump a little bit height with 5 unit over here. As you can see, by default we are just jumping something like 10 unit by, but we increase it by 5 unit. So when we should this apply this ability, when we collect something like that, okay, you can test with any object like that. So I'm gonna drag this portion one over here. I have, okay, something this red one I'm gonna drag into this in view over here, as you can see. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna add two components to this game object. Firstly we're gonna add the rigid body one, okay, rigid body one, and the second thing we're gonna add the collider one, which will detect the collision. Okay, so what we need, we're gonna set it to rigid body to kinematic. Okay, so it will not fall down due to gravity. Okay, so what we're gonna do, select that. Firstly we're gonna rename this game object something like portion. Okay, portion, something like that. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna add two components. Firstly, so hit the add component over here. I'm gonna create the we're gonna add the box collider 2D. Okay, and we're gonna edit the collider as the size of sprite. Okay, as you can see. Okay, so I'm gonna resize this as the size of a sprite, and we also gonna add the other component. Okay, which will be the rigid body one. So we're gonna add rigid body, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna set this dynamic to kinematic, so it will not fall down due to gravity. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna set to kinematic, and we're gonna set collision detection over here continuous, so it will continuously detect the collision. Okay, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to box collider 2D once again, and we're gonna set is triggered to true, basically checked. Okay, so if we trigger with this portion or this portion, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna apply the ability. So what we need, firstly we're gonna assign this game object as a portion tag. So go to select the game object, I'm gonna drag it in the top hierarchy so we can see it, and go to inspector. Over there we're gonna add a new tag. Okay, and we're gonna call it something like portion. Okay, portion, and save it, and head again to that game object once again and assign that tag which is untagged. So we're gonna assign portion one, as you can see. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to JavaScript once again of player. So if you haven't created the JavaScript, just go to assets. Okay, right click, create C# script, name that to something like jump. Okay, player jump, something like that, and open that up script. Okay, so we and attach that script to player game object, and double click that to open up in Visual Studio. So what we need, firstly we need the ability object. Okay, then we can directly set, basically we need this ability. Okay, jump we have created over here, as you can see, jump. So we need this object. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna create in the top, we're gonna assign. Okay, so we're gonna assign, we're gonna make it public to see inspector, that will be ability which we named. Okay, and that is jump ability. Okay, so that will be jump ability, something like that, and close that off with semicolon and control as on your keyboard to save this, and head again to unity. So we will able to see in player JavaScript and jump ability. Okay, we name it something like ability, jump ability. So what we need to drag this game object, okay, sorry, this object into that field. Okay, jump ability field, just wait for to compile and you will able to see. Okay, so we need this object, so that's why we have created that field. Okay, so if I select the player, as you can see, jump ability, so we need to drag this ability, then we can set the jump height to our this jump. Okay, so I'm going to drag this jump into that slot, jump ability. Now we have the jump ability jump object. Okay, so what are we gonna do, we're gonna go to script once again. Now we have the jump ability. Okay, so what we're gonna do over here, as you can see, we're gonna check over here void on collision inter. Okay, on sorry, we're gonna use this function on trigger inter to d. Okay, basically this function get call or get trigger whenever we trigger with something. As we know, we set the portion is triggered to true. Okay, and we assign it that portion as a portion tag. So what are we gonna do? So this function over here will get trigger or will get call whenever we trigger with something. So obviously we're gonna trigger with that portion. Okay, so what we need, we're gonna check if other. Okay, whatever the this function get called whenever we trigger with something. Okay, so we're gonna check if whatever we trigger it with, if that game object, okay, if that game object has tag portion and make these curly brackets. So basically this function over here get trigger whenever we trigger with something, and we are checking if that game object whatever we trigger it with, if that game object other dot tag is equals to portion. Basically we are definitely gonna trigger with that portion, and we are checking if that game object has portion tag. As we know, we assign it that portion game object as a portion tag. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna set, as you can see, jump height by default we set it to 5, but in the inspector we set it to 10 unit as you saw. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set, okay, jump height, okay, jump height equal to ability. Okay, jump ability over here, as you can see, jump ability. So we're gonna go to jump ability. Okay, jump ability dot jump height, we can access the jump height. So we are directly setting it. So basically what we are doing, we are going to jump ability game object. Okay, object, basically if we go to jump ability, okay, ability over here we, so basically by jump ability jump height we set it in inspector 15 as you saw. So basically we are direct, so this one is jump height is 15. So if we go to player jump script once again, okay, player jump script once again, what we are doing, we are setting the jump height over here. As you can see, by default we set in the inspector 10 unit. So we are what we are doing, we are directly setting it jump height equal to jump ability dot jump height. Basically we are going to ability script and we are accessing the jump height, and as we know we set the jump height 15. So this will be 15 over here, jump ability dot jump height would be 15. So the jump height over here will be 15 because we directly setting it. After collecting that portion, what we gonna do, we're gonna destroy that portion. Okay, that portion game object. So we're gonna use this destroy function. Okay, destroy other dot game object, whatever we trigger it with this we destroy. Firstly what we doing, we setting the jump height equal to jump ability dot jump height. As we know, jump height we set 15 15f as we set up in the inspector as you saw. So this will be 15, so the jump height over here will be 15. Okay, so 15 because we directly setting it equal to. Okay, then after setting the jump height to 15, okay, we are destroying the game object whatever we trigger with. So firstly we're going to other and then dot game object. Basically this function, as you know, get trigger whenever we trigger with something, as we, and we are checking if that game object whatever we trigger it with, if that game object has portion tag. As we know, we assign it the portion game object as a portion tag. Okay, so what we are doing, firstly we are setting the jump height of the player equal to jump ability dot jump height, but by default what we set 15f. So this will be jump height over here will be 15f. Okay, then after that we are destroying the game object whatever we trigger it with. Okay, we definitely trigger it with that portion game object, so we are destroying that game object. Okay, we are using this destroy function, and destroy function will take the game object you want to destroy. Okay, so control s on your keyboard to save this and head again to Unity. You will able to see whenever we collect this portion. Okay, it will firstly the jump height over here 10, as you can see it will be 15 because we assign it in the jump ability 15. Okay, so the jump height over here will be 15. After setting the jump height, what we doing, we destroying the game object whatever we trigger it with. As we know, we gonna definitely trigger with this portion, and we assign it that portion game object as a portion tag. Okay, so now if I hit play, okay, if I hit play and if I collect this portion, firstly we are setting the jump height equal to jump ability dot jump height, and as we know we set up the jump ability jump height to 15. Okay, so the over here this jump height over here will be 15. As you can see, jump height here became 15. Now we can jump furthermore, as you can see. So I hope you get the idea of jump ability. Okay, so whenever we collecting, after that we are setting, we are destroying the game object. If I select the jump ability once, it's game object once again, as you can see, firstly we defined the name of the ability, which is jump, and the second thing, we have assigned it the jump height over here, as you can see, 15. Okay, so I hope you get the idea of scriptable object and applying ability to player game object. Okay, so in this if you enjoyed this video, then like this and share it with your friends. Okay, and if you are new to my channel, and then subscribe it, please consider to subscribe for upcoming tutorials. Okay, and if you want to support me, you can support me on patreon.com. And lastly, thanks for watching.